Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Touchline Talk with Odds Changer, where we will be discussing all the weekend's news and gossip from all the games around the Premier League, the EFL and the rest of Europe. As usual, I'm joined by football broadcaster, writer and general man in the know, Dean Jones, to discuss all the talking points and the latest fallout from everything that happened over the weekend. Morning, Dean. Another eventful weekend around European football. It was great to see some fans back at Premier League games. We had a bit of atmosphere, at least at some of those games, so welcome return to fans and hopefully more to return soon.
Yeah, it makes a massive difference, doesn't it? Even 2,000 people can make a lot of noise, it turns out. So, very welcome to have fans back in most grounds and starting to get our old football back, I think. Just got to get rid of VAR next.
Yeah, well, VAR worked in one of the games yesterday, Dean. So we'll give a bit of credit to VAR once with that Wolves penalty being overturned at Anfield. But yeah,
True, yeah.
VAR does still dominate most of the headlines every weekend. But one man who seems to be making the headlines for all the wrong reasons at the minute is Mikel Arteta at Arsenal. Just over a week ago, Arteta was 50-1 outsider to be the first Premier League manager to lose his job. He's now as short as 3-1 in some places after the weekend defeat to Tottenham in the North London derby. Now Arsenal have made the worst start to a league campaign since 1981. Suffered six defeats already, and they're languishing in 15th spot, 11 points behind the leaders, Tottenham as well, which isn't going to go down too well with Arsenal fans. I just don't know what's going on at Arsenal. Everybody was expecting a big season from them after the impressive start that Arteta had last year, winning the FA Cup. But where's it all gone wrong for you, Dean?
I think there's a variety of things. I think, he keeps chop and changing Aubameyang's position to try and get him scoring again. He's tried putting him in the centre. I don't think that's Aubameyang's position. I think get Aubameyang back to the left. That's where he was getting the most joy. Obviously, the way he was cutting in and bending those ones into the far corner, that's where so much joy was coming from. And people have managed to maybe cut out the distribution to him. They need to find a new way to get that working again, get the best out of Aubameyang. Don't just stick him in the centre and expect him to score goals. He hasn't actually really done that much throughout his career. That's not where he's played the best. So there are little things like that. I think that the younger players in the squad need to be utilised better, particularly Saka. I think that those are the guys that are going to give you the passion that is really lacking in this team. And then stop the crossing. What are they doing? Arteta just keeps talking about, well, he's stuck in 33 crosses, didn't score, but it's pure maths that we should be. No, it's not, mate. If you want bread and butter for Tottenham defenders, then they're going to be clearing headers like that all day long. Not really sure that is a path to glory, to be honest, just crossing it in the box and hoping for the best, especially as Arsenal don't really have great headers of the ball. I mean, I know Lacazette's done it a lot in the past and Aubameyang can do it, but that's not how you're going to get the best out of this team.
No, I don't know if Arteta was reading Big Sam's blueprint, just get balls into the box or crosses or something like that, but yeah, very strange from him. And as you said, 44 crosses they had against Spurs, the most by any team in the Premier League this season. But they weren't really playing to those strikers' strengths. Lacazette, Aubameyang, not the greatest in the air. And I just thought it was a wasted tactic played into the hands of the Spurs defence, who played well. Eric Dyer and Alderweireld sort of mopped all those crosses up. But it's a real worrying thing for Arsenal right now is this lack of goals. I think 2 goals in 7 games now. Aubameyang just seems all out of sorts. You talked about him there, Dean. Do you think maybe taking the captaincy off him might sort of ease the pressure on him as well? He can just concentrate on his football?
I don't think that should make too much difference. I mean, look, the guy's signed a contract worth, 300 grand a week. If you're going to be a 300 grand a week footballer, you should be able to wear a captain's armband and not let it affect you. And maybe there's a curse at Arsenal that when they give players these big contracts, they just go missing. I mean, we saw it with Ozil as soon as he signed his 350 grand a week deal. Now we're seeing the same thing with Aubameyang, just not delivering the value for money. And Arsenal really, really hesitate over handing out these deals. And they do it because they're like, okay, let's believe in him. And it doesn't work. So this might be the last big contract we ever see at Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly. Those pay men might not be handing out the big money as it does seem to jinx Arsenal's top players. But the worrying thing again for Arsenal, they're currently closer to the relegation zone than the top 4, and they've scored fewer goals than Dominic Calvert-Lewin has this season for Everton. That's not good stats when you look at it, but no chance Arsenal are going to get involved in a relegation fight, not like Roy Keane joked the other week.
Wow. My Fulham are only 2 places behind them now. We're in a relegation battle, so who knows?
Exactly. Anything could happen. It's been the strangest of years. It'd be a strangest thing if we could see Arsenal involved in a relegation dogfight, and that's not what Mikel Arteta signed up for. So Arsenal fans will be desperate to get back to winning ways as soon as possible. But while everything's not so rosy in that side of North London, everything pretty perfect so far for Jose Mourinho and Tottenham, sitting top of the table. He's just been over a year in the job now, Mourinho, but he's really stamped his authority on this team. There's no more talk of this being a Spursy team, giving things up and being a bit weak. They've really proved their title credentials in the last few weeks as well, Dean. Wins over Man City, Arsenal, that draw at Chelsea as well. So 7 points from that, 9, and 3 clean sheets in the process as well. We're really going to have to take Spurs seriously now, aren't we?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. They are in the title race as it stands. This is a long way to go, so they can fall out of it. But they're in a great position. And we'll see in January whether they are able to build the squad, add a couple of faces. I think ideally Mourinho would be happy to get rid of a couple of squad players. You know, Dele Alli's not figuring. Harry Winks isn't figuring. Davinson Sanchez, there's not much faith in him. Maybe those guys get moves and he can bring in a couple of players that he really trusts and can add to the winning mentality, which is something they're going to need in that second half of the season. I think that's, from a Mourinho point of view, that's what he'll feel they're lacking right now. And look, he's done amazing stuff to get this team together, to produce unity. Now they've just got to have that edge in the last stretch in the second half of the season, because it's going to be really, really testing.
Yeah, but still coming in for criticism, Mourinho, for the style of football at Tottenham. Yeah. Saying they're boring, they're just hard to beat and everything else. But I think that's probably a bit unfair on Mourinho. And Kane and Son, they've probably got the best strike partnership maybe in Europe right now, the way that those two play together. So if they keep those two fit, I think they'll go a long way in this title race.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, if they weren't winning games right now, it'd be Mourinho out, because it is that boring. But look, Kane and Son, the best combination in Europe right now. So, you know, he's managed to get that work in, and fair play to him.
Yeah, no, fair play. And we'll see if Mourinho can continue his fine work. But he's done it before at Chelsea. He's moulded a team, made them hard to beat. And you can see similarities with his Spurs team as well. So Spurs fans must be loving it right now, seeing their team at the top of the table while their big rivals, Arsenal, struggling at the wrong end as well. Another man who's never out of the headlines is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And it looked like he was going to dominate them again at the weekend at half-time against West Ham. It's a case of deja vu for the United boss. Ole out was trending on social media after a really dismal first half performance at West Ham. They were lucky just to be 1-0 down, I think, in that game. West Ham had several other chances to be further ahead, but an inspired substitution with Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford coming off the bench inspired United to another away win, 5th time this season away from home where they've been forced to come from behind and get the win. But Fernandes was unbelievable in that game. I think he created 8 chances just in that 45 minutes alone, which is the most of any Premier League player this season in a game. So how important is Fernandes to United now? And he just keeps getting Ole out of trouble with these performances.
He does, yeah. And I mean, this is a team that's been lacking leadership, creativity, experience, that mentality that you should have at Man United. And Fernandes is one of the very few that seem to have it. And so when he comes onto the pitch, of course, there's going to be a vast difference, because the rest of them are so inconsistent, so unreliable. And that's Solskjaer's biggest problem. They produce some massive results and they get out of these holes that they find themselves in. But, you know, you can only give Solskjaer so much credit for that, because it's not really a great system towards building success, is it? I think if you're a United fan and you're watching these games, you haven't got a clue what you're getting week to week. You do not know if you're going to look like the best team in Europe or the worst team in the Premier League. And that's kind of a worry. I mean, from an entertainment point of view, it's great because brilliant. You know, a neutral, fair enough. But, you know, Man United have to be pushing to win things and at least competing to be in the top 3 of the Premier League. They can get in and around that area, but I don't have the belief in this team right now that they can stay there. And that's what Solskjaer ultimately has to be judged on, turning this team into genuine title contenders.
Yeah, it's hard to judge them, as you said, as title contenders. We said Tottenham are serious title contenders, but you look at United, just 5 points off the top of the table with a game in hand. If they win that, they're only 2 behind. And that away form, it's nothing to be sniffed at, really. It shows a lot of character to come from behind. I think we start thinking is United as serious title contenders?
I can't think of them as serious title contenders at all. But it's amazing that they're even this close to the top of the table, considering some of the ways that we've seen them play and the way we and others have spoken about them at times this season. So to even be in touching distance of the top of the table shows what a crazy campaign this is. But I do feel like we're starting to see the league become a bit more normal now. You're seeing the regular goal scorers, the good players all start to rise, as you would expect. I mean, anyone that plays Fantasy Premier League, you can start to guess now like who's going to actually be good again. And so I think that Man City rise, Liverpool rise, Tottenham stay around there, Chelsea become good. You know, you're going to have the top 4 or 5 as you would expect. So Man United are one of the teams that will be in the top 6. Top 3, I don't see it. I just don't see they've got the consistency to be there, even though they should really have the individuals to make it happen.
Yeah, they're doing a decent job of it at the minute of getting results when they're not playing well. So if they can start playing well, who's to say that they can't be in the mix come the end of the season as well? But a bit of talk as well, Dean, that Fernandes in line for a new contract at Manchester United. I think that'll be well deserved considering the impact he's had there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, United obviously criticised at times for not making certain signings and spending money. When you sign a player and he makes this much of an impact, just keep him. I mean, United do have a plan that Fernandes was going to be a star player for years to come. That was the key. When they signed him, they were like, this isn't a player for 2-3 years. This is a player for 5-6 years. And the way he's delivered, you just have to reward him straight away and make sure that Barcelona and Real Madrid and these other clubs can't get their hands on him.
Yeah, I think that'll be a good piece of business by United to get Fernandes tied down to a lucrative new contract as soon as possible. But yeah, sticking with United, it's a big week ahead for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Obviously, this big Champions League game against Leipzig, where winner takes all, really. If United just need a point to qualify, but if Leipzig win, that's United out of the last 16 of the Champions League. And that'll be a big blow for United, considering the finances and the financial problems of COVID. It'll be a 15 million hit, I think, for United. And then it's obviously Man City in the derby. So if things weren't to go right for United in these 2 games, I think Ole out will be trending again, and all the talk will again be of Pochettino. So massive week ahead for Solskjaer and United.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I say that this is when you really have to start judging Solskjaer. 2 years now at United. He's had plenty of time to find his feet. He's had plenty of patience from the people around him and a lot of supporters that go to the games. So now it's time to really start delivering and be judged as every other manager has been judged before him. Van Gaal, Moyes, Mourinho. Mourinho had a bit of a better record, I think. If you look at win percentages, I think Mourinho's got a slight advantage on what Solskjaer's got right now. So, he has to be judged in the same terms. And if they go out the Champions League, then he's going to have to seriously start having questions asked about him.
Yeah, I think so, Dean. Big question marks ahead for Solskjaer. A big, massive 2 games for him. It could either go swimmingly or it could go down.
But he wins big games, doesn't he? So he'll save himself and then lose some bad ones.
Exactly. It'll probably be one of those ones. He'll end up losing to a lowly team in the Premier League. But yeah, as we said, a big week ahead for Solskjaer. Also a bigger week for Zinedine Zidane at Real Madrid, who's come under real scrutiny for Madrid's form in recent weeks. They obviously got a big win at the weekend against Sevilla to keep their La Liga title bid back on track. But what a Champions League game in midweek we've got for Zidane and Real Madrid. Group B, probably the tightest group of the Champions League. All 4 teams can still qualify, but Real, who have lost twice to Shakhtar already in the group, need to beat leaders Borussia Mönchengladbach to guarantee their place in the last 16. It'd be unthinkable if Real Madrid want to qualify, Dean, and surely Zidane probably might have to go.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, they really don't want to get rid of him, so we'll see. But I'd say in Zidane's favour here is that his players always seem to turn up when he needs a result. Look at the Barcelona game earlier in the season. They turned up big time for him that day. They deserve to beat Sevilla, so that's a big result for them. So let's see if they deliver in these next 2 games as well, because they've got Gladbach and then they've got Atletico Madrid. And they are 2 games that, he has to be judged on. This team, I think, are really behind Zidane. They want him to succeed. They really like him, most of them anyway, maybe not Isco. But he's got another year after this, I think, on his current contract. And ideally, Real Madrid want to extend that stay and they want him to help them have stability at a time when Barcelona have so much imbalance and unsure about what's going to happen next or who their next manager is going to be, who the next signing is going to be. Sergio Ramos will be back for the Gladbach game. That's huge. Makes such a big difference. Having Ramos in that team, he's basically the new Ronaldo. He scores goals and he's also the leader. So having Sergio Ramos in there and that team ethic, and Madrid they don't tend to lose on nights like this. They make things happen in the Champions League. So let's see if that glitter still surrounds Real Madrid and if they are still the greats that we expect of them.
Yeah, normally Real Madrid are the big game players. They turn up when it's needed. But yeah, a lot of pressure on them going into this week. Mönchengladbach and then Atletico Madrid in the league. Already 6 points behind Atletico. If they were to lose that game, 9 points, that's a big lead to try and cut back on Diego Simeone's side, who showing so hard to beat this season and keeping lots of clean sheets, so they're well placed in La Liga. But there's a certain Mauricio Pochettino obviously sat waiting in the wings for one of the big jobs to become available. If Zidane was to lose his job, you've got to be thinking Pochettino is the big favourite to take over.
Oh yeah, 100%. It would have to be that he would be the leader to go in there. If he doesn't get that job, I'm not sure when he's ever going to get a job. He's been waiting for one for long enough. Man United and Real Madrid are the two that we've been waiting for. So when one of those comes up, if it's not Pochettino, then something's gone badly wrong for him. But yeah, I think I won't be surprised at all if Madrid do beat Gladbach and Zidane ends up staying a little while longer.
Yeah, I can see that one myself as well. And like you said, Dean, I don't think Real really want to sack the legend that is Zidane at the club, and partly down to finances as well. They don't have a lot of money, and they've obviously been hit hard by COVID, so they don't really want to sack the manager and start things up again with a new manager who will have his own ideas and be looking to be backed in the transfer market as well. But staying in Spain, you mentioned briefly about Barcelona. Been a real difficult season for the Catalan club. Real shock defeat to Cadiz at the weekend. First defeat to them since 1991. They're only got 14 points from their opening 10 games in La Liga, 12 points behind the leaders, Atletico Madrid. I think a title push is probably a big call for Barcelona right now, and even a top four finish. They're 6 points off the Champions League places right now. Where does Ronald Koeman go from here? He really needs to start getting things right at Barca.
I mean, I was never sure that Koeman was the right appointment anyway. And obviously there's elections coming up at Barcelona and that will dictate how the club is obviously run for the foreseeable future. And it won't surprise me at all if Koeman's not actually in this job by the end of the season. I mean, I'm never convinced by anything he does really, whether it's team selections or substitutions or tactics. Messi's gone missing. I mean, he just looks like a normal player. That's never happened before. And I mean, if you're the manager and you cannot get a tune out of Messi, then something's going badly wrong. I know there are other issues at the club, but come on. I mean, that is bad. I am concerned, if I was a Barcelona fan, about the way they just cannot get going in La Liga. In the Champions League, they've had some good performances and some good results. But domestically, they just cannot get going. There's a vast contrast there in what they're capable of on the pitch, and I'm not sure what it all comes down to. But Koeman ultimately is going to feel the flack. I mean, I don't, as I say, see him getting through the season. But what would be interesting, I guess, is who would come in at Barcelona because, do they go down the legend route? We've seen a lot of people talking about Xavi and people like that. Maybe that's where they go next.
Yeah, possibly. I'm sure that'll be a popular choice, Xavi. But again, I know Pochettino's said things before in the past that sort of seemingly ruled him out of the Barcelona job, but you could never suggest that would totally be out of the equation as well. Yeah. And we've also got Max Allegri, the former Juventus manager, top manager, European pedigree. He's still without a job as well, so he might come into the reckoning. But yeah, it's a difficult one at Barcelona. I think if they were having any hope of keeping Lionel Messi next season, they've got to qualify for the Champions League, so they've got to improve La Liga form. But yeah, the Messi situation doesn't help anybody at Barcelona with continued speculation over his future. What's your gut, Dean? Do you think he'll stay or go?
Messi? I think Messi will... it will depend on these elections, obviously, and it's hard to predict before that. If things are like as they are now at the end of the season, he's going. He's going to go. He'll end up at Man City.
Yeah. I think that's looking more and more likely. Even talk of PSG and Neymar coming out publicly saying he wants to play with the little Argentine again next season as well. So yeah, we'll have more talk of Lionel Messi, I'm sure, over the coming months on what's going to happen with him. Just switching back to the Premier League, obviously wasn't a great evening for David Moyes against his old club, Manchester United, at the weekend, but he's just celebrating his 1-year anniversary back at West Ham now. And to be fair, I think he's done a good job there at the Hammers. When he came in last year, they were in a relegation dogfight after replacing Manuel Pellegrini. He did enough to keep them up. And this season, there's been a big improvement, I think, in their form. They're sitting in 7th place right now. And maybe a top 10 finish would be a good season for West Ham. He's out of contract next summer. There's been a bit of talk that he's in line for a new contract. That'll be fully deserved, Dean, you think? David Moyes is starting to prove himself all over again.
He is starting to, yeah. I mean, I have to admit, I'm never fully convinced anymore about David Moyes and what might be around the corner. That's my only concern. I mean, West Ham's turnaround in results came when he was sat at home for 3 games, didn't it? So that confused me a little bit. But West Ham have produced some good results again recently. And I can understand why there's talk of a new contract. I'm not sure I would do it right now. I don't think there's any need to do it right now because there's nobody desperate to get David Moyes as their manager. And things can quickly turn around again. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if West Ham went on a bad run as soon as he signs that contract, just because of the nature of this league. And some people will be saying, well, that was weird. Why did we need to give him a new contract so soon? But undoubtedly, like, West Ham are looking like they are moving forwards again in the right direction. I mean, back at the start of the season, there was some people expecting they might go down, like with all the impact of COVID, and there's always uncertainty around West Ham signings. But Moyes seems to have brought some stability to the club, and let's see what he can do going forward. If he does get that contract, can he keep Declan Rice? Can he bring in other big signings and actually turn West Ham into that like top 6-7 side that they've been wanting to become for so long?
Yeah, been a bit yo-yo for West Ham over the years, with Bilic doing well in his first season. Pellegrini did well in his first season, and then things went wrong. But yeah, for me, Moyes has surprised me, especially. I didn't even think he'd have the job come the start of this season, but he kept his job, and as I said, he's done a pretty good job so far with West Ham in the top half of the table, and looking like they're not going to be involved in a relegation dogfight this year. But things can quickly turn. So I think Moyes, after the way he was treated last time at West Ham when he sort of got binned off by the owners, I think a new deal would be the least he deserves. And West Ham fans will be hoping that he can continue this improvement, and they can be challenging the teams at the top end of the table. Right, that's us for another week. Thank you for joining us on Touchline Talk. We'll be back next week for more speculation, gossip, and all the fallout from around Europe.